twice, and I have posted that clip of Orzo on Threads. It's reason enough to join Threads if you haven't already, particularly if you're still a refugee from Twitter, like so many of us are. You can meet Orzo there. I will enjoy meeting you.
All right, and Rachel, I'll see you Thursday night. We're going to watch TV
Indeed.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll listen too.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lawrence.
Okay. Thanks, Rachel.
Bye.
I don't appreciate your tone. That's what Donald Trump's favorite judge, Aileen Mercedes Cannon, who Donald Trump appointed, said today to one of the prosecutors on Special Prosecutor Jack Smith's team in the case of United States of America versus Donald J. Trump, in which Donald Trump is criminally charged with violations of the Espionage Act and illegal possession of classified documents. I don't appreciate your tone. We'll hear more about that tone from Adam Klasfeld, who was in the courtroom in Florida today, and we'll get Andrew Weissman and Joyce Vance's perspective on that tone as former federal prosecutors themselves. I don't appreciate your tone. It was, in its way, the courtroom equivalent of, nevertheless, she persisted.
It has been a long uphill struggle to keep alive the vital legislation that protects the most fundamental right to vote. A person who has exhibited so much hostility to the enforcement of those laws.
The senator is reminded that it is a violation of Rule 19 of the standing rules of the Senate to impute to another senator or senators any conduct or motive unworthy or becoming a senator.
Mr. President, I don't think I quite understand. I'm reading a letter from Coretta Scott King to the Judiciary Committee from 1986 that was admitted into the record. I'm simply reading what she wrote about what the nomination of Jeff Sessions to be a federal court judge meant and what it would mean in history for her.
Senator Warren was giving a lengthy speech. She had appeared to violate the rule. She was warned. She was given an explanation. Nevertheless, she persisted.
And so she continues to persist. Here she is persisting today in Wisconsin.
If Donald Trump takes the White House, if Republicans get control of Congress, they're coming for abortion everywhere. They're coming for contraception everywhere. They're coming for IVF everywhere. So when we go to the polls on November 5th, you're fighting for Wisconsin by fighting for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
It has been exactly 2 years to the day since the United States Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade and unleashed new abortion bans in 21 states.
I want to thank the 6 justices, Chief Justice John Roberts, Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, Brett Kavanaugh, Amy Coney Barrett, and Neil Gorsuch, incredible people, for having the courage to allow this long-term, hard-fought battle to finally end.
But the battle has not ended and will not end. Republicans want more.
It is absolutely critical as we look at this particular election cycle to remember who it was that put pro-life and conservative judges on the district courts, on the circuit courts, and nominated 3 conservative justices to the United States Supreme Court that after 50 years of fighting, we were able to overturn Roe v. Wade. That president was Donald J. Trump.
Today, the Biden-Harris campaign released this ad.
I was right around 11 weeks when I had a miscarriage. The pain that I was feeling was excruciating. I was turned away from 2 emergency rooms. That was a direct result of Donald Trump overturning Roe v. Wade. He's now a convicted felon. Trump thinks he should not be held accountable for his own criminal actions, but he will let women and doctors be punished. We want to support someone that does have our best interests at heart, and that's why I'm so adamant about supporting President Biden.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Hadley DeVal suffered being raped by her stepfather throughout her childhood. She became pregnant by her stepfather at the age of 12. She wanted an abortion, but had a miscarriage before an abortion was scheduled. She joined the discussion on Morning Joe this morning.
Women today, if they're walking in the shoes that I was in, which was pregnancy from rape, then, you know, they don't have any option in a lot of states, and they're at risk for having no options after the election, you know, and that's, you know, very terrifying. And still, I will forever be that little girl. And, you know, that's really who I do this for. And knowing that I was in that position, and the only thing that allowed me to hold on to hope were the words, "You have options." Those are the first things I heard after I looked at a positive pregnancy test at 12 years old.
And now you're speaking out, because a Trump win would mean what for little girls in the situation you were in?
It would mean the unimaginable. It would mean that they have no options, not even women and girls, but, you know, women with non-viable pregnancies, wanted pregnancies that are non-viable, that are killing these women. They will know that it will be no traveling to another state. It will be no options based on where you live. It will just be one rule for everybody, and that will be no abortions. And that is a very, very dangerous world for women, not only young girls, but all women.
Leading off our discussion tonight is Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts, a member of the Senate Finance Committee. She is a Biden-Harris Campaign National Advisory Board Committee member, and she is running for re-election to the United States Senate in Massachusetts. Senator, thank you very much for joining us on this important night. What have we learned in the 2 years since we lost Roe versus Wade?
We have learned that the impact of overturning Roe versus Wade is far bigger than anything anyone imagined at this moment 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, we were talking about what this would mean for women who wouldn't have access to abortion, women who wanted to terminate a pregnancy. But think about the stories we've heard since then. As 10-year-old girls have come forward, 12-year-old girls, 15-year-olds, 30-year-olds who've been raped, as we've heard more from people who have wanted pregnancies but are miscarrying, who have something has gone terribly wrong in that pregnancy, of people who need access to IVF in order to have a family. We're hearing the stories of our sisters, our cousins, our friends, the people we went to school with. Shoot, we're hearing the stories from ourselves about what it means for an extremist group to drive access to abortion, to contraception, to IVF out of the American medical system. We are learning what it means person by person across this country. And I got to tell you, I'm out here in Wisconsin right now, and people are fired up to fight back.
What would it take to legislate Roe versus Wade, pass it as federal legislation and get it signed into law?
Oh, I love this question because we are close. So what it will take is, first and foremost, we've got to have Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in the White House. If we want to preserve access to abortion, then we've got to have Joe and Kamala. We also need a majority in the United States House of Representatives. We think we're close. We think we can do this, but it means we got to be in that fight. And the third one is we've got to have a majority in the Senate. We've got to have 50 Democrats who are willing to set aside the filibuster and say, your vote matters. We are going to depend on democracy, and we are going to make Roe versus Wade law of the land. Understand this, Lawrence. We are so close. Come November, if we can get those three parts, I think of it as the trifecta, we can make Roe versus Wade, law of the land, not just in blue states, not just in purple states, but all across this nation.
I've observed on this program that if there is another Trump presidency, it seems to me he would have very little difficulty in getting Clarence Thomas's resignation from the Supreme Court. He could go into a happy, well-funded retirement. Donald Trump could replace Clarence Thomas with a 40-year-old judge, possibly Judge Cannon in Florida, who could serve another 40 years on the Supreme Court. So it is entirely possible that another 40 years of rulings by the Supreme Court could be at stake in this presidential election.
Absolutely. And understand, that's Roe, that's contraception, that's IVF, but it is so much more. It's about voting rights in this country. It's about the ability to join a union. It's about our climate. It's about money in politics. It's about corporate power. It's about a Supreme Court that in the past few years has just jumped the curbs, a Supreme Court that has put itself above the Constitution, has put itself above democracy itself, and is driving an extremist agenda. It is absolutely critical that we reelect Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, in no small part because they will be the ones to appoint the next round of Supreme Court justices, people who bring some balance back to the court, who will restore some credibility in that court, and who will make sure that we understand we are a nation of laws. Supreme Court has a role to play, absolutely. But so does Congress, and so does the President of the United States. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, they are the people who will strengthen and support our democracy. And that includes taking this extremist Supreme Court, making sure that we've got better people in that court, and, in my view, expanding the court as needed if this court is going to continue to try to run roughshod over our democracy.
As a former Harvard Law School professor, where, of course, you were talking about the work of the Supreme Court all the time in class, as you've seen the work of the Supreme Court for the last 2 years and prior in your time in the Senate, what has to happen to this court going forward?
Look, what's happened on this court most recently is truly deeply shocking. This is a court that no longer feels bound by law. It's also a court whose some of its members just feel like they don't have any ethical constraints, that they can take money from interested parties, that they don't even have to disclose what's going on. We need to do a couple of things in Congress. The first thing that we need to do is we need to put ethical rules in place that bind the Supreme Court. We have constitutional authority to do that, and we should do it. My view also is that it's time to expand the Supreme Court. The Constitution provides for that. It's happened 7 times in the past. We have a Supreme Court that is way out of balance. It's a Supreme Court that has become an extremist court that no longer limits itself to stare decisis. It no longer limits itself to the Constitution itself and to the power to be exercised by Congress and by the President of the United States. We need to save our democracy. And part of saving our democracy is making sure that this extremist Supreme Court does not destroy it.
Senator Elizabeth Warren, thank you very much for starting off our discussions tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. And coming up, we'll be joined by Maryland Senate candidate Angela Alsobrooks, who was with Vice President Harris today in Maryland.
So it comes down to this. Donald Trump thinks the government is in a better position to tell women what's in their best interest than women are to know for themselves. But Joe Biden and I trust women.
My hair was thinning all around my hairline.
My dermatologist recommended Nutrafol. It's 100% drug-free and clinically tested.
My hair is longer, thicker.
Nutrafol is life-changing for me.
Get growing at Nutrafol.com. Nothing dims my light like a migraine. With Nurtec ODT, I found relief.
The only migraine medication that helps treat and prevent all in one.
To those with migraine, I see you.
For the acute treatment of migraine with or without aura and the preventive treatment of episodic migraine in adults. Don't take if allergic to Nurtec ODT. Allergic reactions can occur even days after using. Most common side effects were nausea, indigestion, and stomach pain.
It's time we all shine. Talk to a healthcare provider about Nurtec ODT from Pfizer.
If you spit blood when you brush, it could be the start of a domino effect. New Parodontics Active Gum Repair Breath Freshener. Clinically proven to help reverse the 4 signs of early gum disease. A new toothpaste from Parodontics, the gum experts.
Right now, pet dander, skin cells, and dirt are settling deep into your carpet fibers. Stanley Steamer removes the dirt you see and the dirt you don't. Your carpets aren't clean until they're Stanley Steamer clean.
Stanley Steamer gets your home cleaner.
I have moderate to severe Crohn's disease. Now there's Skyrizi.
Things are looking up. I've got symptom relief. Control of my Crohn's means everything to me. Control is everything to me.
Feel significant symptom relief at 4 weeks with Skyrizi, including less abdominal pain and fewer bowel movements. Skyrizi is the first IL-23 inhibitor that can deliver remission and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. And Skyrizi is proven to help deliver long-lasting remission at 1 year.
Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, had a vaccine, or plan to. Liver problems may occur in Crohn's disease.
Now's the time to ask your gastroenterologist how you can take control of your Crohn's with Skyrizi.
Control is everything to me.
Learn how AbbVie could help you save.
Someone needs to customize and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Wait, there's an elevator? Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
It's good to get some fresh air.
Fresh air?
Hi, guys. Bill, you look great. Now that I have Inspire, I'm free from struggling with the mask and the hose.
Inspire?
Inspire is a sleep apnea treatment that works inside my body with a click of this button.
No mask.
No hose.
Just sleep.
Give me this thing.
Where are you going?
I'm going to get Inspire.
Inspire, sleep apnea innovation. Learn more and view important safety information at inspiresleep.com.
Hey, with Priceline VIP Family, you can unlock deals 5 times faster. You don't even have to be an actual family.
Oh, I'd be the dad.
I'm the dad.
Hey, physically, it's clear that I'm the dad.
Okay, so which dad is paying?
You're the dad.
Go to your happy price, Priceline.
Can Nariva support your brain health?
Mary, Janet, hey.
Eddie, no, Fraser, Frank. Frank?
Fred, how are you?
Fred.
Fuel up to 7 brain health indicators, including your memory. Join the Nariva Brain Health Challenge.
Sleepy, headaches, dry skin, you're probably dehydrated. Try Liquid Labs Rapid Hydration. It's packed with all 5 essential electrolytes, tastes amazing, and way less sugar than sports drinks. Rehydrate and feel better with Liquid Labs. Grab Liquid Labs in the Walmart vitamin aisle today.
Team, saddle up. I want Q1 full index reports my desk by noon.
Are you getting any of this?
Yep, Otter's got the meeting notes. I'll ask it for action items in the channel. And Maria already asked for a budget reminder. Smart.
Got it?
Got it, boss. Otter, you got this.
This bakery needs new equipment fast to keep up with demand. So they're going to On Deck, the online lender that makes it easy to choose your loan and, if approved, get funds as soon as the same day. Your loan is on deck.
Two years ago today, I think many of us remember where we were. 2 years ago today, the highest court in our land, the Court of Thurgood and RBG, took a constitutional right that had been recognized from the people of America, from the women of America. And 2 years ago, on that day, I actually made a prediction that overturning Roe v. Wade would be the opening shot on a full-on assault, state by state, on reproductive freedom. And that is exactly what happened.
Former district attorney, now Vice President Harris, spoke at the University of Maryland today, where that former prosecutor made the campaign case against Donald Trump in the terms she used to use prosecuting cases in courtrooms.
When he was in the White House, Donald Trump handpicked 3 members of the United States Supreme Court because he intended for them to overturn Roe v. Wade. And as he intended, they did. So, it was premeditated. And Trump has not denied, much less shown remorse for his actions. Instead, he, quote, proudly takes credit for overturning Roe. My fellow Americans, in a court of law, that would be called an admission. And some would say a confession, all pointing to the ultimate issue. In the case of the stealing of reproductive freedom from the women of America, Donald Trump is guilty. From Kansas to California to Kentucky, in Michigan, Montana, Vermont, and Ohio, the people of America have voted for freedom. And not by a little, but often by overwhelming margins, proving this is not a partisan issue. Proving that the voice of the people has been heard and will be heard. So today I ask, are you ready to make your voices heard? Do we trust women? Do we believe in freedom? Do we believe in the promise of America? Are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, we win. God bless you and God bless America.
Joining us now is the Democratic nominee for Senate in Maryland, Angela Alsobrooks. She attended Vice President Kamala Harris's speech today, marking the 2 years since the Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. This is a very important state for Senate campaigns. Maryland could go either way. You're running against Larry Hogan, a former governor who I assumed was a pro-choice Republican. Is that as clear as I assumed it to be?
Absolutely not. You know, well, what we've learned, first of all, Larry Hogan has a record, and that record is clear that he actually vetoed important abortion care legislation that would have expanded abortion care in the state of Maryland. That veto was overridden by the legislature, and he withheld funding until the current governor came into office. And so he's a very clear record just this year as he entered this race. He came in and said, I understand the issue around abortion care because it's a very emotional issue for women. Said as well that when he was pressed as to whether or not he would vote to codify in federal law a woman's right to choose, said he refused to speculate about that. And so
yeah, that's the part that surprised me. I thought he was just a Roe versus Wade guy, but the Democratic Party of Maryland has assembled his responses to this. Let's take a look at this because this was all new to me, hearing him answer it this way. Let's look at this.
Would you vote for legislation that would guarantee the right to an abortion?
I think that's an issue we'll have to address.
Surely you've thought about it.
I'm not going to speculate on any issue, on any piece of legislation that's never been written.
There's a much longer version of it here, too, where he goes on, and it just keeps going like that in circles where clearly he's thought about it, and now he's thought about it enough that he's afraid to talk about it.
Yeah, you know what? The reality is this is a very, very serious issue. We know that in Maryland has now become the place that Mitch McConnell has selected as a place that he believes the Republicans have the best chance of flipping the Senate into Republican hands led by Donald Trump. And he said that Larry Hogan was the get of the year, that he couldn't believe his luck in selecting Larry Hogan as the person he believed would give the Republicans the best chance of gaining control and thereby later on putting a ban in place. So we know that this is an issue that is so serious. Marylanders have a whole different vision. They are pro-choice. I believe that Marylanders will know the difference between Larry Hogan as governor and senator, and will know the 51st vote is what this is about, and it's about our freedoms. We heard Vice President Harris talking about this today. This is about freedom. It is something that is so personal to me. You know, I was 2 when Roe was decided, and I don't think any of us ever thought that my own daughter, who is 19, would be fighting for rights that should have been won by her grandmother.
We just heard from Senator Warren the point that in order to preserve these rights guaranteed in Roe versus Wade, you need a Democratic president, Democratic House of Representatives, and a Democratic Senate. And all the Republicans have to do is grab one from the Democrats, and they'll be there. And that's why Mitch McConnell is so focused on Maryland. They don't usually focus on Maryland, yes. But they believe they have a shot there, and in some other states, Montana and some other states that they're hoping for. But do the voters of Maryland understand that if you vote for the Republican, you are also voting for every other Republican in the Senate to be elevated and become more powerful? Senator Cruz becomes chairman of a committee. They then become the chairman, and then their votes outrank Democratic votes because Larry Hogan's there.
You know what? Marylanders are very savvy as voters. And
pretty close to Washington, D.C., right? They've got a good eye on it. Very
savvy voters. What they will understand is that whoever controls the majority controls the agenda. And what we know is that Republicans have an agenda to send us backwards, to not only take away abortion care rights, but we've seen over the last couple of weeks to also affect IVF and contraception. We know as well that these Republicans will stack the Supreme Court, will continue to, with these conservative justices who are not only intent in removing our freedoms around reproductive care, but voting rights and so many other rights that we all care about. And so I believe that Marylanders will know that the 51st vote is the question that we're answering. Who should have the 51st vote? I believe that they will elect me and will decide that the Democrats ought to retain control of the Senate. And this is about the future. What kind of future do we see for our country? I see one where my own daughter shouldn't have to decide which state to live in based on where she might have freedoms. And I think this is what's at issue.
There was a really moving moment today with the Vice President, the event you were at. Kate Cox, Texas woman who was famously denied an abortion in a crucial situation where she then had to leave the state to go to New Mexico. She made an announcement today. Let's listen to that.
Today, I'm happy to share that I'm pregnant again. My husband and I are expecting our baby in January, and I hope that by then, when we welcome our baby to the world, it'll be a world led by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
What was the lesson for the crowd in that today?
Well, you know what? It was, it's horrifying to think that Kate had to leave her own state. She had to flee her own state to not only save her own life, but to also preserve the right to bear children in the future. She was pregnant with a baby that was not viable. Her health was at stake. Her doctor made the decision that she needed this care. And what we're looking at now are politicians who are in the examination room, who are substituting their judgment for that of doctors. And Kate's example tells us really that this Republican Party is not stopping. They have gone so far, not only, again, when we think about abortion care, that is jeopardizing the lives of women, but we are seeing now that they want to make choices for women about when to start families with IVF and contraception. And so this is something that must, the 51st vote. Again, this election, the stakes could not be any higher. And we're so happy for Kate and for her family.
Maryland Democratic Senate candidate Angela Also Brooks. Is your daughter still appearing in your TV ads? We saw her
Oh, my
earlier.
gosh, this girl is wonderful. She is. You see, she's a complete superstar. She's just finished her freshman year in college. And she is just amazing.
Great. Have her come with you next time. Thank you very much for joining us. And coming up with a presidential debate later this week, today, defendant Trump's favorite federal judge, Aileen Cannon, heard the government's request to put a gag order on Donald Trump from telling lies about the FBI's search of his Florida residence. Adam Klasfeld was in the courtroom. He will join us next, along with Andrew Weissman and Joyce Vance.
When I was diagnosed with HIV, I didn't know who I would be.
But here I am, being me.
Keep being you and ask your healthcare provider about the #1 prescribed HIV treatment, Biktarvy.
Biktarvy is a complete one-pill, once-a-day treatment used for HIV in many people, whether you're 18 or 80. With one small pill, Biktarvy fights HIV to help you get to undetectable and stay there, whether you're just starting or replacing your current treatment. Research shows that taking HIV treatment as prescribed and getting to and staying undetectable prevents transmitting HIV through sex. Serious side effects can occur, including kidney problems and kidney failure. Rare, life-threatening side effects include a buildup of lactic acid and liver problems. Do not take Biktarvy if you take dofetilide or rifampin. Tell your healthcare provider about all the medicines and supplements you take if you are pregnant or breastfeeding, or if you have kidney or liver problems, including hepatitis. If you have hepatitis B, do not stop taking Biktarvy without talking to your healthcare provider. Common side effects are diarrhea, nausea, and headache.
No matter where life takes you, Biktarvy can go with you. Talk to your healthcare provider today.
Chris Cunahan for Leaf Filter, the permanent gutter solution that protects your home in so many ways. It takes more than one Chris to explain it.
But together, I think we've got this job covered.
Like Leaf Filter has your gutters covered.
Protecting you from getting up on this thing to clean out your gutters ever again.
You know how else Leaf Filter protects your home?
With our lifetime transferable no clogs warranty.
We'd be glad to come out for a free, no-hassle inspection.
To schedule your free inspection, call 833-LEAF-FILTER today or visit leaffilter.com.
On Medicare? Have diabetes? When enjoying life's special moments, are you left guessing which foods are right for you? With the Freestyle Libre 3 system, you'll know your glucose and where it's headed. No finger sticks needed. Freestyle Libre 3. Manage your diabetes with more confidence and lower your A1C so you can focus on those special moments. Covered by Medicare for more people managing diabetes with insulin. Talk to your provider or visit freestylelibre.us/Medicare.
This outdated DMV has 2 forms of my ID.
Think of all the places that can expose your info. LifeLock monitors millions of data points for identity theft. If there's a problem, we fix it. Guaranteed.
1 second she can't walk. Then she can. 1 second you're single. And then you don't want to be. 1 second it's a pipe dream. And the next, it's a dream come true. 1 second you feel safe. And then,
The police are on their way.
well, you still do.
When dry eye symptoms keep coming back, inflammation might be to blame. Over-the-counter eye drops can provide temporary relief. Xiidra can provide lasting relief. It targets inflammation that can cause dry eye disease. Xiidra treats the signs and symptoms of dry eye disease. Don't use if you're allergic to Xiidra. Common side effects include eye irritation, discomfort or blurred vision when applied, and unusual taste sensation. Why wait? Ask your doctor about a 90-day prescription and pay as little as $0. Xiidra.
New Mr. Clean Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser.
With the scrubbing power of Magic Eraser and the cleaning power of Dawn, watch it make soaps come here, disappear.
And sprays can leave grime like that. Ultra Foamy melts it on contact.
Magic.
New Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser.
I tried a bunch of different probiotics before seed.
And they didn't help. It addressed my bloating and my irregularity.
It's really helping my daily bowel movements and keeping me pretty regular. I started feeling better and less bloated, felt flatter, lighter. I just keep going back to Seed because it actually works.
Now I walk around and smiling every day because I don't get bloated anymore.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
I need help with their snoring.
Sleep Number does that.
Thank you.
Shop our lowest prices of the season with no interest until 2027. Sleep Number smart bed starting at $9.99. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
We need a small business loan fast.
I got this.
Lone Falcon!
There's a better way to get a fast small business loan. Go to OnDeck.com, and if approved, get your funds as soon as the same day. Your loan is on deck.
I don't appreciate your tone. That is what Donald Trump's favorite judge, who he appointed, Aileen Mercedes Cannon, said to one of the prosecutors on Special Prosecutor Jack Smith's team today in her courtroom in Florida, where she is presiding over the case of United States of America versus Donald J. Trump, with Donald Trump accused of violations of the Espionage Act, including possession of classified documents. Judge Cannon never should have heard that tone today that she didn't like, because she shouldn't be presiding over the case, according to two other federal judges in that jurisdiction. The New York Times reported, quote, the judges who approached Judge Cannon, including the chief judge in the Southern District of Florida, Cecilia M. Altonaga, each asked her to consider whether it would be better if she were to decline the high-profile case, allowing it to go to another judge. But Judge Cannon, who was appointed by Mr. Trump, wanted to keep the case and refused the judge's entreaties. Since then, Judge Cannon has exhibited hostility to prosecutors, handled pretrial motions slowly and indefinitely, postponed the trial. Judge Cannon had already exhibited hostility toward the prosecution before they even obtained an indictment against Donald Trump in the case. She issued two preliminary rulings involving evidence seized by the FBI search warrant, both of which were quickly overturned by the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, whose unanimous rulings made it clear Judge Cannon was either too incompetent or too prejudiced in Donald Trump's favor to handle this case. The judges trying to talk her out of taking the case, including the chief judge, had other practical considerations in mind. The New York Times reports the first judge to call Judge Cannon suggested to her that it would be better for the case to be handled by a jurist based closer to the district's busiest courthouse in Miami, where the grand jury that indicted Mr. Trump had sat. The Miami courthouse also had a secure facility approved to hold the sort of highly classified information that would be discussed in pretrial motions and used as evidence in the case. Judge Cannon is the sole judge in the federal courthouse in Fort Pierce, a 2-hour drive north of Miami. When she was assigned to the case, the courthouse in Fort Pierce did not have a secure facility because Judge Cannon kept the case. Taxpayers have since had to pay to build a secure room known as a sensitive compartmented information facility, or SCIF. Today, in her courtroom, Judge Cannon held two hearings, one to consider a motion for a gag order on defendant Trump brought by the prosecution, and another on a defense motion challenging the constitutionality of the very existence of a special prosecutor. Prosecutors asked for the gag order after Donald Trump told the lie that the FBI came to his Florida residence with the intention of killing him when they executed a search warrant there, even though the FBI knew that Donald Trump wasn't there. Prosecutors suggest that that lie by Donald Trump could endanger the lives of FBI agents, not just in Florida, but all over the country, given the publicly exhibited homicidal madness of some Trump supporters over the last several years. Judge Cannon seemed to think that FBI agents had nothing to worry about in any comments made by Donald Trump, and the greater offense was the prosecutor's tone in discussing those potential threats by Donald Trump. Joining our discussion now, Adam Klasfeld, who was in the courtroom in Fort Pierce, Florida today. He's a fellow at Just Security. Also with us, Andrew Weissman, former FBI general counsel and former chief of the criminal division in the Eastern District of New York. And Joyce Vance, former U.S. attorney and, importantly, former chief of the appellate division in the 11th Circuit. She is a professor at University of Alabama School of Law and co-host of the podcast #SistersInLaw. Adam, you were in the courtroom. What about that tone?
Well, one thing in context for that, the thing that set Judge Cannon off before that was that David Harback, the prosecutor who she dressed down, was getting such a tough reception even before that moment that he had made a remark that he had barely gotten one of his points across. That was what made Judge Cannon make that remark. And for all of her tone policing, when he stepped down and Trump's attorney Todd Blanche came up, and you've seen Todd Blanche in action, Lawrence, he gave something that would be not out of place for a campaign speech for Trump, giving a view of the the gag order as though this was a mere critique of the Biden administration, Biden's Justice Department. She didn't really push back on that remark. And on Friday, it was very different. You know, she had sharply pressed both sides. She had actually even questioned Trump's other attorney, Emil Bove, also a attorney on the New York criminal case, about his characterization of the special counsel as a shadow government. She said, I don't know if it's right to throw aspersions, she said to him, about his use of that term. Now, today, Blanche was throwing every aspersion in the book about Joe Biden's supposedly secret role in the gag order. In the search of Mar-a-Lago. There's absolutely no evidence of that, and didn't even push back on Todd Blanche's characterization of Trump's comments and the fact that they were lies.
Andrew, exasperation can happen in courtrooms, but of all the people in an American courtroom to be concerned about tone, in a hearing that's about Donald Trump's potential threatening of FBI agents nationally, something that most judges have never, ever had to consider, federal judges, they've never had to consider their duty to protect FBI agents nationally. And her worry is the tone.
So that is one of many, many, many signs that she is not up to the task here. I have seen many judges in high-profile matters and seen how they comport themselves. We all just watched Judge Merchan, who is, that is sort of the platonic ideal of the model. Here, there's so much wrong with what she did today, starting with that even if you think these allegations may not be enough to do what the government wants, you would not decide to hear this a month after the allegations are raised. This should have been heard promptly. Second, her comment that was, well, there's nothing about these agents on this case that I need to worry about because I've kept their names private. And the prosecutor said, well, A, that's actually factually not true. The names have leaked out, and these names will continue to leak out. And two, that's so myopic because there have been threats against other FBI agents, and you don't think that it's both an effect on other FBI agents and also on these. So, I mean, it was both a sort of short-sighted view of, in terms of questioning, and also factually wrong. So there's just so much that this is consistent with the outrage in the way that she has handled this case, as you noted, from the outset, when it was not even an indictment. She has consistently done things that show both her naivete, the fact that she's not ready for prime time, and I hate to say it, but is really showing prejudice in a way that really casts aspersions on very good conservative judges who do their duty.
Well, your tone was okay in the way you said that. It's a harsh comment, but the tone was okay. Joyce Vance, what are you expecting here? Because Judge Cannon seems to know when she can create a ruling that Jack Smith will appeal and could possibly shake her grip on the case. So what are you expecting for us to see going forward on this?
So I'm expecting more delay, which is precisely how she's handled this case from the get-go. She doesn't rule. To Andrew's point, she scheduled this hearing just an unconscionably long time after Trump began to make these comments. We won't see a ruling in this case for weeks, if we see one forever. And the reason for that is because these rulings would be immediately appealable if they went against the government. If she were to dismiss the case or limit special counsel's ability to use funding sources, then they would appeal that. And most importantly, this ruling on the change in Trump's conditions of pretrial release is something that by statute the government is entitled to take an immediate appeal of if she denies their motion. And that's exactly where Judge Cannon does not want to be, in front of the 11th Circuit. Again, I think we can't say this enough. She wasn't just reversed 2 times by the Court of Appeals. she entertained a fundamentally flawed action brought by Donald Trump. When you don't like the results of a search warrant in an investigation into your conduct, you wait until you're charged, and then you move to suppress any evidence gained as a result of that search warrant. And that's not what Trump did. He filed a civil action that wasn't justified under any sort of legal proceedings. She entertained it. She delayed the government's use of evidence. That, in large part, is why we're here talking about delay again. And that's what the 11th Circuit responded to so sharply, smacking her down twice. She does not want to be back in front of them.
We have to squeeze in a commercial break here. Joyce, when we come back, I want to pick up with you right there with your expertise in the 11th Circuit on appeals. We're going to be right back after this break.
If you have moderate to severe ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease, put it in check with Rinvoq, a once-daily pill.
When symptoms tried to take control, I got rapid relief and reduced fatigue with Rinvoq. Check.
When flares kept trying to slow me down, I got lasting steroid-free remission with Rinvoq. Check.
And when my doctor saw damage, Rinvoq helped visibly reduce damage of the intestinal lining. Check.
For both UC and Crohn's, rapid symptom relief, lasting steroid-free remission.
And visibly reduced damage. Check, check, and check.
Rinvoq can lower your ability to fight infections, including TB, serious infections and blood clots, some fatal. Cancers, including lymphoma and skin. Heart attack, stroke, and GI tears occurred. People 50 and older with a heart disease risk factor have an increased risk of death. Serious allergic reactions can occur. Tell your doctor if you are or may become pregnant.
Put UC and Crohn's in check and keep them there with Rinvoq.
Ask your gastroenterologist about Rinvoq and learn how AbbVie can help you save.
Let's take a little test together. Which looks better? This or this? This or this? Seems clear to me. Saving cash wins every time, which is why you'll love the Wise Buy sales event going on right now at America's Best. Get 2 pairs of single vision glasses for just $69.95 or 2 pairs of progressives for just $129.95. Both offers include a comprehensive eye exam. That's not just a better deal, it's America's Best. Book an exam online today.
Sometimes Jonah wrestles with falling asleep, so he takes ZzzQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, and wakes up feeling like himself. Get the rest to be your best with non-habit-forming ZzzQuil. Better days start with ZzzQuil nights.
Did you ever worry we wouldn't get you to enjoy this?
Seriously, look at these guys. They're playing great. Meanwhile, I'm on the green, and all I can think about is all the green I'm spending on 3 kids in college. Not to mention the kitchen remodel. And we just remodeled the bathrooms last month.
With Empower, I get all my financial questions answered, so I don't have to worry.
So you're like a guru now.
Oh, here it
Join
comes.
18 million Americans and take control of your financial future with a real-time dashboard and real-live conversations.
Empower. What's next?
Summer. It's the hungriest time of year for kids across America. Kids whose hardworking families are struggling to make ends meet.
Whether it's working the crazy hours so you can have enough money for food, or, just giving up things for your personal self, and it's just, gotta feed your kids.
Far too many kids are missing the meals they need this summer. That's why I'm here now asking you to join me in helping end child hunger in America. For just 63 cents a day, that's only $19 a month, you can help provide healthy meals to power kids through their days.
They're growing at this age and they need the best diet they can have.
So please, call now or go online to helpnokidhungry.org. Right now, give $19 a month, only 63 cents a day, and when you use your credit card, well, you'll get this special team t-shirt to show that you're helping kids build a brighter future for themselves and for the world.
We want to ensure that all of our kids have healthy meals every day. And many of our parents and many of our communities are still suffering.
It's very difficult to, have a good family setting when you're worrying about having enough food for your family.
You can help kids get healthy meals this summer and all year long. Please join me in supporting No Kid Hungry today. For just 63 cents a day, only $19 a month, you can help provide healthy meals to kids across America and in your local community.
Thank you for giving.
Thank you for giving.
Thank you.
Families are struggling to make ends meet. These are hard times. So please, call now or go online to give.
I still love to surf, snowboard, and of course skate. So I take Cunol Magnesium to support my muscle and bone health. Cunol's extra strength, high absorption magnesium helps me get the full benefits of magnesium. Cunol, the brand I trust.
We're back with Adam Klasfeld, Andrew Weissman, and Joyce Vance. And Joyce, I want to go back with your experience in appeals in the 11th Circuit at the U.S. Attorney's Office. Would you expect the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals to consider it within their duties to make sure that FBI agents were adequately protected in a situation like this?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good question because it's where we are in this situation. The issue would be if she denies this request for a modification and it goes to the 11th Circuit, how would they react to that? And part of the problem with the way she's approached this question is that she almost seems where Donald Trump spoke like this about people, agents and other people, and some of his followers reacted. Not in every case, not all the time, but there's standout events like Cesar Sayak, the man who built explosive devices, pipe bombs, and sent them to people who he thought were Donald Trump's enemies. Fortunately, they didn't function, but the point is you don't want to be the judge who takes that risk and fails to protect people, whether it's agents, witnesses, or jurors, what have you. There's plenty of evidence that Donald Trump's words influence people, and he needs to behave in responsible ways. If he won't, it's up to the courts to make sure that he does.
Adam, was there any hint in court today about possible timing on decisions?
None at all, Lawrence. And that's been part of a pattern. There was no hint of a decision on the earlier motion brought by Trump in this set of hearings, challenging the special counsel's authority, saying that he was unconstitutionally appointed, that it should have gone through the Senate. There was another motion saying that the funding of the special
discussion tonight. Tonight's last word is next.
I'm a rusty old boat hitch, and I am barely hanging on. See ya. Ahoy! So get all stayed.
Ready for the road trip. Everyone comfortable?
Yep, there's plenty of space. I've even got an extra seat.
Wait, no.
Extra seat!
Let's just let them out.
The Volkswagen Atlas, with 3 rows and seating for 7, everyone wants a ride.
Okay, get in.
And see Despicable Me 4 in theaters July 3rd, rated PG.
There's a way to cut your dishwashing time by 50%. Try Dawn Power Wash Dish Spray. It removes 99% of grease and grime in half the time. It cleans so well, you can replace multiple cleaning products. Try Dawn Power Wash.
Oh, what a good time we will have. You can make it happen, girl.
Try dietary supplements from Voltaren for healthy joints.
The cockroach, resilient creatures. Where there is one, others aren't far behind.
Well, that's horrifying.
Ortho Home Defense Max Indoor Insect Barrier. One application kills and prevents bugs for 365 days. Nature's wild. Your home doesn't have to be.
HomeAglow just cleaned my entire house for $19. No, seriously, $19. They showed up right on time and did my dishes, my laundry, they even cleaned my windows. You just pick a date, pick a cleaner, and enjoy a spotless house for $19. I love using HomeAglow, and I think you will too.
I can feel the winds of change.
I need Q1 full index reports to my desk by noon, complete with comprehensive data analysis.
Are you getting any of this?
Insights. Charles.
Yep, Otter's got the meeting notes. I'll ask it for action items in the channel. And Maria already asked for a budget reminder. Smart.
Mom by morning. Got it?
Got it, boss.
Otter, you got this. Sleepy, headaches, dry skin, you're probably dehydrated. Try Liquid Labs Rapid Hydration. It's packed with all 5 essential electrolytes, tastes amazing, and way less sugar than sports drinks. Rehydrate and feel better with Liquid Labs. Grab Liquid Labs in the Walmart vitamin aisle today.
Legend has it that Anthony John Francis O'Reilly was Ireland's first billionaire. And I say legend because Tony O'Reilly's massive business empire was so highly leveraged on loans that it was hard to tell how much he was really worth when he was flying high in the 1990s and the first decade of the 21st century. But this being an Irish story, of course, no one can fly high forever. And so, when Tony O'Reilly died at age 88, he was bankrupt. In 2018, 3 years after declaring bankruptcy, Tony O'Reilly delivered the line that became the last line of his New York Times obituary today. "You win and you lose," he said. "And if you don't know how to lose, you don't know how to live." The legendary Tony O'Reilly gets tonight's last word. The 11th Hour with Stephanie Ruhle starts now.
Tonight, it is exactly 2 years since the Supreme Court struck down Roe v. Wade, a decision that put abortion on the ballot in the race for the White House. Then Biden goes off the campaign trail for debate prep, while Trump focuses on bringing in more campaign cash. Plus, the Mar-a-Lago documents case. Prosecutors face off against Trump's lawyers over a gag order request as the 11th Hour gets underway on this Monday night. Good evening once again. I'm Stephanie Ruhle, joining you from Colorado at the Aspen Ideas Festival. And we are now 134 days away from the election. And today marks 2 years since the Supreme Court, including Donald Trump's 3 hand-picked justices, took away the constitutional right to abortion. Because of that decision, almost 28 million American women of reproductive age now live in states with partial or total abortion bans. And President Biden wants to make sure every voter who knows that Donald Trump is the person responsible and what could be next.
Here's what Donald Trump says about your freedom. After 50 years of failure, with nobody coming even close, I was able to kill Roe v. Wade. 2 years ago, the Supreme Court justices that Trump handpicked helped overturn Roe v. Wade.
Never before has the court granted and then taken away a widely recognized constitutional right.
New laws banning abortion are taking effect.
Decades of progress shattered just because the last guy got 4 years in the White House. You know what will happen if he gets another 4. For MAGA Republicans, Roe is just the beginning. They're going to try to ban the right to choose nationwide. They're coming for IVF and birth control next. We're up against extremism.
And earlier today, Vice President Harris spoke at the University of Maryland to explain the choice Americans are really facing in November.